All right.
Okay, welcome everyone. This is Body Design University Personal Trainer Talk, and this is Corey Ritter and Mr. Johnny Gonzalez making another special appearance from Atlanta, Georgia here. Johnny, thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for stepping in for Doug this week. You stepped in for me last week, and you're coming up to the plate for Mr. Doug Blake. Those are big shoes to fill, Johnny.
Definitely. Either way, I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Of course. So, Johnny, let me ask you this. Last 5 days, it's rained pretty steady here in Atlanta. I mean, it's for those of you that are tuning in from Atlanta, Georgia, it's been pretty steady rain. It braked yesterday, came back today, but I'm told that after today, the rain is going to stop. And for the next 5 days, we are going to have some of the most beautiful weather of the entire year. It's going to be in the 50s, very low humidity. And what do you have to say about that, Mr. Gonzalez?
I'm beyond ready for it. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm a northerner. I live down here in the south, but I definitely love the cold. I love the chillier weather. So, I've been loving the rain. It's made driving a little bit difficult on the highways, with everyone else.
Are you the type that do you prefer it warmer or do you prefer it colder, generally speaking?
Definitely colder, generally speaking. Yeah, cold-blooded all the way.
I don't know why I've always been that way too. Growing up I literally grew up in the Florida Keys. It was really warm and humid. I think I just had that so much that now I just kind of enjoy the opposite. I'm not really sure, but guys, we have an amazing personal trainer talk lined up for you today. So many incredible questions that have been sent in that should help a lot of trainers out there. And just remember, every Wednesday here at 2:00 Eastern time, Doug and I and Johnny will be here to help out. Right now, we have a live personal trainer course with trainers from all over the country here at Body Design University downstairs in our learning center. Today is exercise demonstration. So Mr. Doug Blake is actually on the floor right now going through all the biomechanics of all the exercises in person. Each trainer that is a part of this course has got to demonstrate their ability and confidence in being able to instruct others, do injury workarounds, deliver the right level of enthusiasm, the right timing, the right cueing. And it's something that we really enjoy doing in our live personal trainer course. We're doing that right now downstairs. So Mr. Johnny has decided to help us out and fill in. So that's where we're at. Now, remember, this talk is for anyone. It doesn't matter if you are just getting started and you're studying for your national exam to become a accredited certified personal trainer, going through our program, or you've been training for many years. There's going to be some things that we share, little nuggets that you can take away from each one of these talks. And our goal is to help you. And that's really it. So each time, if you join in, we'd love it. And you should find somewhere a link below that you can click on and join us in this talk. If you have a question, now we've got a lot here, but usually we make the preference of the folks that log in, and we'll have a little conversation, a little discussion about it. So, Johnny, you ready to get the show on the road or what?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So, first question that we have here, and I know that we're focused around business with me being with you today, but we'll jump into some other things too. So Donald Cortez from Manhattan, Kansas, didn't even know there was a Manhattan, Kansas, personal trainer out there, is asking, should I set a cap on how many people I allow to franchise my gym business?
Oh, that's a good question. Is there even a cap?
So should I set a cap on how many people I allow to franchise my gym business? Look, just in full disclosure, I've ran a lot of different locations. I've never owned a franchise agreement business where people are franchising the brand in different locations that I would put a cap on it ever. Like, I've been involved with many franchises, and I have done franchising of Body Design University and subscription, or Body Design Personal Training and subscription of our software. But one of the reasons why you go into a franchise business, or you take your business model and franchise it, is that it's it's scalable. that means that it's pretty much unlimited to a certain degree, depending on your support staff. But this is a very big question. This has got to be somebody. Donald, if you're out there and you're tuning in, you can jump in and join us. That'd be great. But this is somebody that clearly Johnny is, been in business for a while. He's got a gym and he's saying that he wants a franchise to put a cap. I've never known another franchise either, any of them, like any of the franchises. I'm sure maybe some of them have, but I've never known anyone to put a cap on it. So no, it would be my recommendation, certainly not to put a cap. I would only cap the franchise selling or the franchise enrollment based on your support. I've seen some franchises get really bad reputations pretty quickly. Now, some of them being able to salvage the mess that they made, come back strong. Some of them weren't able to because they sold so many franchises, hundreds of franchises, and their support team wasn't prepared for that level of service. So in that case, you got to be careful. But as far as limiting, no, I wouldn't cap. I wouldn't go into it with the mindset of capping at all. So, Johnny, any other thoughts on that?
So no limit on the capping. So it's safe to say that if you're going to go ahead and franchise in the first place, it should be with the right support group, correct? You need that right team to cultivate the success.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think at the end of the day, the folks that are going to franchise their system, they're going to have a pulse on how their operations are going. And, there's these different scales of business. And I learned them the hard way, but basically the way that it worked was, I think once we got to about once you get to $1 million in revenue, then you're at a certain playground. You're at a certain level in revenue for the year. But it's like as soon as you hit 3 million, then it literally, your support team and your structure of your business is totally different. And then once you get to 9 to 10 million, it's like almost like the multiples of 3, right? From 1 to 3. And then that's where we see a lot where somebody gets to $9 to $10 million in revenue for the year, and they've got a completely different team. So you go from almost like owner operator. Then when you get to 3 million, you generally are the owner is generally the leader of the company and has some direct reports, some team leaders, if you will, or department heads. But then once you get to 9 to 10 million, generally the owner has got to have people making decisions on their own that are good for the company. And, we call that kind of like the executive level, if you will. But the bottom line is that's usually the scale. So as far as the question is concerned, I certainly, the reason, again, that you go into franchising is that you can be unlimited. You could take your little concept that you believe is working really well and offer it to other people in different places, unlimited, with that regard. And the only reason I would cap it is based on the support team that you have built. So that's that. Thanks for the question, Donald. Appreciate it. Okay, Johnny, I know you've got some there that have come into you. Would you fire one away?
Sure. So here we have Clancy Leopold from Branson, Missouri. His question is, how many promoters should I have? Should I have more in-person or online promoters?
So that's a great question. And the only thing I can think of, Clancy, is that you're following up from a discussion that we had, I think it was three or 4 weeks ago about, is that?
Yeah, sounds about right. We
Okay.
talked about promoters.
Gotcha. So generally speaking, I will tell you that at one time I had 10 promoters in each location, and that seemed to be a really good number. Now, with that being said, if you have and I don't know that a bigger location would have made us recruit more. I don't think so. So I think, 5 to 10 is the magic number. So for example, if you have a personal trainer studio at Clancy Fitness in Missouri, it's a personal training studio or a health club, whatever your operation is, I would say between 5 and 10, because it's that 80-20 rule. Truly, it really is. When you have 5, about one of them is really a rock star, bringing in a lot of business and a lot of promotion. The other 4 are kind of just doing their thing, still adding value, but not at same. So if you have 10, what we found is that we had two that were really consistent in promoting and bringing in business, where the others kind of just supported and were there. So that's what I would recommend, anywhere from 5 to 10. I wouldn't run a promoter program with less than 5, because there's a lot of effort, and you'd want to piggyback off of having multiple people being promoters if you're going to do it. And 10, above 10, I don't know. I think that would just be a lot. But that's my recommendation. And that's regardless if you're doing it in person or online. So if you're out there and you're a personal training studio, only doing in-person training, 5 to 10. If you're an online business, the cool thing about that obviously is that you're promoting it. As long as you're delivering value to these promoters, they really like what you're offering, you can go above 10, I think. And that's not going to be because you're going to have your meetings over Zoom like we're doing here, and other things. But in person, 5 to 10. Online, honestly, I don't think there's too big of a limit on that. But I hope that helps. Johnny, any other thoughts or follow up on that?
Yeah, I just think, as we continue to, progress as a society and become more intertwined with social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, TikTok is the newest thing blowing up. Right before that, it was Vine. Promoters are becoming such a big aspect, I feel like, of not just personal training businesses, but any business in general. I mean, if you look at the NIL deals with all the college athletes can now be promoters, and all these different companies, small to big, are hopping on them. I think it's because there's so much of an influence that comes with social media. It's crazy, and we're getting more questions like this as time goes on throughout the shows, and I think it's pretty interesting. I think it's something that people definitely should have in their arsenal.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I would say don't consider a promotions team unless your product and your service is really refined and that they feel proud of what they're promoting. So they really have to love your training, and you have to have a good system set up and some good team members. But if you have that, that would be like an add-on. So you would definitely focus on your Google ads, pay-per-click, search engine advertising, then your Facebook and Instagram. And then after that, outside of, referrals, I'm talking about places where you're actually going to invest money. It would be a promoter program for sure. But I think they have done enough studies now. The number that was last released was 5 to 1. So for every dollar that you spend on a promoter program in advertising, you could expect to get back 5. I mean, that is the power of the fitness influencer. When you're putting in $1 and you're getting 5 back, it just makes sense. But the program has got to be organized. It's got to be set up really well. And it's something that we've done for years. We currently run a promoter program, and we probably always will.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. So I'll take this next one. So we have a question here from Nikki Savault from Chadron, Nebraska. Okay, Nikki, let's see what we got here. What is the most difficult part about running a gym business, and how did you or do you overcome it? Oh man.
Ooh, good question.
I mean, Nikki, running a personal training, gym, or just a gym in general, what is the most difficult? That's hard. There's a lot of difficult things to running your own little business. And, I will tell you that it's not for everyone. It's really not. And I hope to inspire those that it's a really good fit for, and help those that it is a really good fit for. But I also hope to help others identify that it's not, because sometimes, as we teach in our live course, it's not just the things that you learn what to do, but it's the things that you learn what not to do. And so with all that being said, what is the most difficult? I think the most difficult is probably that startup period. The first, I guess, 3 years, give or take. Now that's if you're starting with a blank canvas. So when I say that, meaning like if you're creating your own systems, your own business model, that first 3 years is a beast. I mean, it is just a beast.
Crucial.
If you're buying a franchise, then most of that work is done for you. You still have a lot of heavy labor and work to do. But when you're creating systems, what you're doing and creating a new business, you're having to write all these systems and meaning, you're having to write how much you charge, when you're going to do your billing, your agreements, your meal plans, your exercise routines, you're developing out your schedule, you're developing out your business protocol, the goals for the day, for the week, for the month. And all of these things initially very hard to figure out and decide. Because until you're doing it, there's a lot of tweaking and iterating, as I call it, along the way. It's like you do this, you iterate it, and then you do it a little bit more, and then you iterate, and you just keep getting. But during that time, this is what a lot of people don't know, and they think people open up a business, they have all kinds of money and they're just wealthy people. I had somebody say that to me the other day, and I just thought to myself, are you serious right now? I'm wealthy. I mean, I guess it's how people define that. But the bottom line is that in that first 3 years, you're literally going to be working your tail off, and you make mistakes. This is what happens as a business owner. You make mistakes, and you're just hoping that you don't make a mistake that's so big that you can't come back from. It's not whether or not you're going to make mistakes. I have multiple businesses and I make mistakes all the time. I'm just hoping that I don't make one so big that I can't recover from. But until you've been around for, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that first 3 years, there's a lot of them. And so getting through that, and I just remember at one time where, I'm running this business. I'm working so hard in my own small little personal training studio. I'm working so hard and I'm losing money. Not only am I not making money, I'm not breaking in, I'm literally paying to run this thing. And, and that was so painful until I made the right decision that got me on track. And that's what I think is the hardest thing. A lot of people can't stomach or don't have the tenacity to go past that point. A lot of people get to a certain level. It's so painful that they retreat. And I get it. And I understand that, but it's that point when you say, what is the hardest? It's that point where you get to the point where it looks like there's no hope. I mean, you've got no money. Things aren't working well. You're having issues with staff. You're having issues with billing. You're having issues with XYZ. It's easy to roll up the tail and just go get a job or to go do something else. But it's that point where you got to push through, as long as you believe that you have value to add to others that they would want to pay for, and your service is going to be really good, and your studio, your gym, and people say really good things. You just keep working until you figure it out.
Right.
But I think that's the hardest part that I remember of starting body design personal training, especially in the early years. It was incredibly painful. And it's, for as long as you own it, look, I tell people being a small business owner is literally one of the hardest jobs out there. And we're the only folks that will literally work 60 hours, 70 hours, 80 hours a week to avoid having to work 40. It's stupid. It makes no sense why we do what we do, but we do. We work 80 hours a week just so, and that's the entrepreneur. So I hope I hope that was helpful.
Yeah. Corey, real quick, let's go back to that process. You said you went through a moment, or people go through a moment where, they kind of hit a wall, it's painful, and it's hard for them to stomach. How did you, as a business owner, how did you get past that? Are you focusing on the goal? Are you continuing, to focus on the journey and put aside the goal? How do you keep that laser focus when you're going through that pain? How do you maintain? What'd you do?
Yeah, they say keep your eye on the prize. I increased my belief so much that what I was doing was the right thing, and that was going to ultimately help people, and that I can make a good living doing it, and that people really wanted it. And honestly, that's what's kept us going. And that's not just, look, that's in every business that I own and I operate right now. It's like, it's the same thing that happens. You get to the point, and I think if you believe that you have something special, and your belief is very high. So like I talk about this often where, people set goals and then they have a certain level of belief, and then there's a certain level of action that they take. Well, a lot of people have similar goals of owning a personal training studio. Like a lot of people have the goals of owning a personal training studio, and running one. Well, the action that you take on doing that and achieving that goal is really based on the belief in the center that you have that you could be successful. And I think when you hit those roadblocks, at least for me, I just kept telling myself that I have something good. And as soon as I figure out the right margins, the right price and the right service and what to provide, what not to provide and what they want, it just kind of pushed me. And I think one of those things is I did take the lines off the bow. So, I pushed out and there was no plan B, and I think if people have a plan B that they're even thinking about, so I've never had a plan B, and I don't go into a business. I go into it like going to do this thing or it's going to shut. It's not going to make it. So, I think when I get to that point, it's just focusing on the end result. And I'll tell you that starting the personal training company was the best decision I've ever made. Opening up a studio was the best decision I've ever made. And, but you've got to stomach through that. And there's so many different ways to do it and run a business and a studio that people would really love and enjoy. It can be completely different than everyone in the market and still do really well. So,
yeah, that's pretty powerful. A lot of people with all the, again, it's going back to societal, thoughts. Hey, it's going to be, I open up a business, it's going to be easy. People, are going to be coming in, and then they hit that roadblock. I think it's important for people to hear what you just said, because that's pretty powerful. Because at one point or another, right, whether it's life or business or whatever project you're taking on, you might get punched in the mouth. And it's about how do you respond to that? And people need to hear how you respond to that, because it's not, let's be honest, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? I mean,
yeah.
I would consider you to be very successful in what you're doing. And, the focus, the drive that you have, that's amazing. Because, even someone like you said you hit a roadblock, but you still managed to push through. And I just think that's super important for people out there to hear,
Yeah, no, I agree. Thank you for that. And,
yeah,
if it encourages anyone that's going through this right now that has a studio, that, just to push through it. Now, I will say, don't push through it doing the same thing. If you're one of those, you got to learn the lesson. If you make a mistake, you better learn the lesson. If not, you're going to repeat it and just keep having issues. As long as you make a mistake, and you're going to make the mistake, learn from it, move on. It's really how fast can you make the mistakes and how big are those going to be? And if it's not too big and you can kind of get through it,
right.
But I remember being in very, very dire situations where, I would have had to close, at any time. And luckily now, we have a pretty consistent and loyal customer base throughout the companies. And, but it takes a while to get there. So I hope that was helpful.
Definitely.
Okay, what you got, Johnny? You're up next.
All right, next one I have is from Daisy Walton from over in Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Gulf Shores.
All right. Yeah, beautiful beach areas over there. Her question is, how do I convince my clients that warming up and cooling down are an important aspect to their workout sessions with me?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, training clients over the years, I just always try to be like a role model. Like not that I'm warming down and they're seeing me work out. I'm not, doing that, but I would do it with them. And I think when you do that, it shows them that one, you care, and two, it's really important. You could explain how we got to get the blood flowing through the muscle, warm it up so we can stretch on it. We don't want to pull on I used to use the example of, think of a rubber band. And if that rubber band is cold and you just pull on it, what happens? It breaks, right?
Yeah.
And then if you warm it up a little bit and you pull on it, it's stretching. I stopped doing that, 3-4 months in, and then I just started doing some of it with them. So they'd come in, and then I'd tell them, after, when I started doing small group training, I would be like, hey, look, you're not going to be able to jump into a workout without doing your 5-minute warm up and 5-minute stretch. Once you get done with that, you can jump in. But if you show up late, it's okay. I'd rather you show up late then skip your workout, but you can't show up and then get right into the workout. And, I think they always appreciated that and hold them accountable to that. Some trainers will do this number because they don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to be a tough guy. And the client walks in and, and they're late and they're ready to start the workout. And the trainer will be like, okay, just warm up and stretch out. And then we'll get you in there. And the client will go like this three times for 3 jumping jacks and then go like this and a little stretch. And okay, I'm ready. And I'm like, whoa. No.
I'm out.
Yeah, no, Susie, that is not going to fly on my watch. And I'd make them warm up and stretch. And sometimes I think that would make them show up on time, because I literally had clients that would do that, and I'd make them go through the full 10 minutes and they're getting upset because they're watching me go through some weight training sets with their workout partners. Like, look, I'm sorry that you're missing these, but I'm not training you if you haven't warmed up and stretched. That's just the deal. So I think I would do it with them. And I think also when I held them to the fire of doing it, they learned that it was important. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
instead of me saying, hey, this is important, I just kind of did it with them, and then they got to see that. So that's how I would do that.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good example. Leaders lead from the front. So, and you also want to show them, hey, it's not just for me, it's also for you, for your safety throughout the workout. So.
Yeah. And they appreciate that. It's just simply the D-type personalities that basically are wanting to be really nice to their clients, right? And want to be very supportive and don't want to be like, nope, sorry, you're not included on this session. Go stand over there. They want, that's not it. And so I think, in general, that's the deal. And some of them, they come in and they just respond very positively and they get into it. But then you have the A-types that come in, they're running behind, and then you tell them to go warm up and stretch. And like, you go warm up and stretch, buddy. I'm getting in this workout. So, okay, I got the next one here. Let's see. This is Daniel Mead from Lander, Wyoming. Should I build my gym for my clients on my property, or should I build it in town? Great question. Do you remember not too long ago, we had a question about the guy that was doing like the barn fitness?
I think he was from Wyoming too. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to follow up with him.
Get these guys to partner up, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So, if your own property, look, different parts of this country are completely different. And I took a road trip not too long ago across the country, and I was blown away. Like, if you have only been in a certain states and you've never literally gone across the country in a car to see, there are still places in the US right now that you would not believe exist. They seem like they're out of the 40s or the 50s, especially on the top side of the US. I was crossing, I think it was like Nebraska, and we were going through North Dakota and Minnesota, and then, all the way across. And there's these little podunk towns. Now, look, if you live in a town like that in Wyoming, then I would say build that bad boy right on the property, and put it right on the edge of the property, closest to the road, build a little driveway. But generally speaking, no, I would recommend that you detach it. One thing I wish I did years ago, and I didn't have the money to, or I would have, and I'm actually planning to work on that now as a next goal, potentially, of moving the location into a space that I own. We've leased these commercial spaces, and in doing that, you get a lot of local foot traffic that could be very beneficial because they're in a shopping plaza, usually. So that's one thing. But if I had to go back, I would find a little piece of land or a building that just seemed like it would work really well, and redo it and make that the personal training studio, do a mortgage on that for however long, as long as I could get approved at that time and had the down payment and the money and everything that's needed. If you can do that, or you have family that could support you in doing that, and it makes sense, then by all means. Otherwise, no, I would not put it on your property. I would definitely put it out in town, whether it was a standalone parcel by itself, or if it was in a strip center. I think that you have to separate the two. And keep in mind, the goal of starting a personal training studio should be one day that you can walk away from it. And walk away from that doesn't mean that you have to sell it. You could sell it, maybe put a lot of effort, time, and then sell that business to somebody. Or you can keep it, but somebody else is running it. So you earn a lot less, but somebody else is running it and you're getting proceeds. And you would want to do that off of your property. If you built that business on your property to do that, then now, I don't know, maybe if there was a good opportunity to do it the first year, build up some clients and then move it into a commercial space, that's another option too. But generally speaking, do it off of your property, build a business, something that you can either sell down the road or have somebody manage it for you and reap the rewards of all that early pain that we talked about. That's one thing that kept my eye on the prize when we talked about that earlier. What's most difficult about starting a business? Well, the goal is that down the road, and there's been many, many years that I've owned a personal training studio now that I visited once a week, in some cases, even once a month. And, it was paying a return consistently.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that is a possibility. That's my recommendation there. What do you think, Johnny?
I feel like that borders on, I don't, exactly know the situation, but I feel like that borderline, is, on the cusp of land development and just, look, would you sell that land later? How much would it take to build up, the building if you have a building there, to transport all the materials, water. I don't know the details. Me personally, I do believe in, have that commercial space, be able to walk away from it, and make sure you're not putting yourself in a huge hole before you're even, you even have clients. Again, I don't know what Daniel's situation is, if he has clients or not, but
yeah,
it's certainly
no,
interesting.
that brings up a good point. There's so many different variables to that. By and large, do it off of your property.
Yeah.
Because even if you are going to build from the ground up, or you have space on your property it's only going to last so much on your property. You want to have the separation between work, even though it's your business, between your business and your, even if you're single, or if you have a family, your home, your domicile, you want to kind of separate those two so you can have a disconnection. I'll never forget, at one point I had 2 lofts literally here in the city, just a couple miles down the road from here, big warehouse lofts. And I decided to convert them. I lived in one, and then I had a studio in the other. So they were on the same property, but they were about 1,000 square foot each. And one I lived in, it was a full on loft, big, huge ceilings. And the other one was the gym. But you stepped outside my door of one, and it was the entrance of the other one on the other side of the staircase. And even then, I'm not even kidding you. I would have clients either show up early or come in late and literally knock on my door and knock on my window. And I'm like, are you serious right now? So having them so close, not always the best idea.
I can't even imagine. I would be, oh no, just let me sleep or let me get to whatever I'm trying to get to. I can't even imagine.
In between sessions, I'd go next door and I'd just have lunch, or I'd have something to eat. It could be at night. It could be what, and I wasn't in the studio, but they would show up like 15, 20 minutes early one day or something like that. And I'd be in my loft eating, and they'd just be knocking on I'm like, what in the world? So
I don't think you can get any more convenient than that, though, honestly. I really don't.
No, it was. And it was funny because it had a little staircase that went out into this yard, and I had a golden retriever, Bailey, at the time, and she would lay out on it, and all my clients would know Bailey. Like, they'd come in, they'd pass Bailey and say hi to Bailey, and then they'd go in for the workout, and Bailey loved it. Cute. Yeah. Mascot. So yeah. So anyhow, all right, Johnny, what do you got for us next?
All right, next one's from Jennifer Coates from over in Woodstock, Illinois. There are so many Woodstocks around this country. We have one here in Georgia. Wow. And I think the most famous one is in New York. But anyways, her question is, should I look to partner with brands in order to bring more income into my gym? So
should I look to partner with brands?
Yeah.
My feeling towards that is generally, yes, if you're a fitness influencer. But if you're not a fitness influencer or promoter, I don't think so. I don't think the amount of time and energy that you would put into partnering with brands would, provide a good return. In general, I use the example sometimes where when somebody asks me something similar to this, another stream of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And, if your business is doing really well, your studio for that, then open up another one or charge higher rates. Focus on that and then provide even better service. But if your business is doing really well and you go into something completely different, like brand, like partnerships and, alliances, you could certainly do that. But I would recommend sticking with your core business and either, again, charging higher rates as new people come in or open up another location, not go in different directions. And I speak from experience in this subject, and then also have coached others that have done this successfully. And then it's been a challenge helping some people recover from it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. And that's what was her name?
Jennifer.
So Jennifer, basically, in a lot of cases, people do that because of this thing that I call the that I've heard called and have reused it, the shiny object syndrome, and what that, in general, you're not doing that well, and then your brain starts thinking about other things that you should do or focus on. So a lot of times it's not when a business is doing good that people do other sources of revenue. They actually do it when things are bad, and that's the absolute worst time to create partnerships or open a smoothie bar in your gym or start selling supplements. The only time that you should create another revenue stream, in my opinion, and I think most successful business people would tell you the same, because that's who I've learned it from, is that you're not going to take a core business and make it better by focusing on another revenue stream. So if your current core business is not doing what it needs to be doing, do not do anything else. Focus on fixing that problem. Once you fix the problem and the business is doing well, then consider supplements or fitness bands or fitness equipment or promoter alliances or partnerships. I would not do that. But even then, let's just say your business is doing well. My first recommendation would be to open up another location or, charge more at your current one and provide even better service and increase your margins. That's what I would typically recommend. I've seen so many people have a challenging business that's just breaking even. And then I'll supplement this by adding massage therapy. Oh my goodness. And then things just go south. Not because massage therapy is not beneficial or profitable, because it is. But if you don't know that business and your core business is not doing well and you focus trying to build that, what do you think is going to happen to your core business? Do you think your core business is going to do better because you're taking time, energy, and resources likely away from it to promote your massage therapy? And then you're confusing the folks, the prospects that you're working with. And, so that's my recommendation on that one.
Yeah. So do you think that, because of the luxuries that people can experience at the bigger gyms, I used to work at a bigger gym before I started here, and we had the smoothies and the candies and the massage therapy and the tanning and all that. Do you think that's kind of ruining it for the smaller companies? Because they're trying to they want to be able to keep up, right? And they see, these much larger ones, doing, this, that, the other. And it almost feels like everyone's trying to do it just to keep up. Do you feel like, is it bad precedent? You just said if you're doing good, you don't really need if you're doing good, you can do all that or open up another one. But if you're not, stay in your lane, don't open that up. So why do you think, why is it that everyone's trying to go for these multiple facets, of income?
I think in general, that's a great question, Johnny. I think in general that, again, once we're in pain, when we're in pain, most people, they can't think logically. They get emotional. And if you can't separate the two, big problems. So when you're dealing with pain and you're going through challenges in your business, for example, and this could actually work in your life as well, by the way.
Yeah.
But if you're dealing with challenges in your business, your head starts going a little, woo, let me go here. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me try that. You got to stay the course, stay focused, stay the course. And so I think what happens when we're in challenge and pains, we start, not thinking logically. We start thinking emotionally. And that's a big problem, and especially in business. Next thing you know, you're doing things that are emotional, and you're going to make some big mistakes. And those are some ones, by the way, I talked about earlier. Those are some ones, some of them you don't recover from. Just being honest, like be really careful, because if you make a big mistake based on emotion, that can take you down a road that it's very difficult to come back from. And a case in point, I know a personal training studio gym that had opened. It wasn't doing well. Yeah. It barely had 100 workouts a day. And they decided to open up a smoothie bar. And they literally spend what little resources the gym had, what little time that the gym operator and owner had towards building out a smoothie bar, which anyone knows in this business.
Right.
And they would know that if you have less than 100 workouts a day, there's no way you could even justify a smoothie bar. You've got to have a lot of workouts. Generally speaking, the ones that do the best have usually around 1,000 workouts a day in their facility. And so they focused on that, and they couldn't come back. Their main business, the personal training and the gym, just went lower and lower and lower. And when that went lower, then of course the smoothie bar had less of an opportunity too. So both of them just, and I can tell you countless stories like that. But the bottom line is that, when we get into a sticky spot like that, it's very painful. We start thinking, not rationally. Okay. And that's not the best time to make decisions. It's just really not. And so with that being said, I think that no matter what, we're going to make mistakes as long as we learn from them.
Definitely. And do better.
Is that helpful?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. What do you got? What do you got? Oh, is it me? All right. Let's see what I got here. So the next question is going to come in from Rocky Morris from Harrisonburg, Pennsylvania. Just starting off my business. Is it easier and less expensive to do all of my own marketing on my own, or should I hire someone to do it for me? Man, that is a great question, Rocky. Whenever I think of Rocky, I think of Balboa. Sorry, Rocky, but I'm just saying. Okay. Look, when it comes to the marketing part of it, this was very challenging for me because I started off just for the love of exercise and training and nutrition. I didn't really know anything about marketing when I started. Didn't know anything about how to generate interest or advertising, nothing at all. But I learned pretty quickly that I needed to figure it out. It's, in my opinion, still to this day, that you should learn every facet of your business before outsourcing it or even hiring somebody to do it for you. And here's why. It's a lot to learn. And again, I told you that this is painful situation to start your own business, because you have to be really good at a lot of things to be successful in business. Just so you know, you do. Not for the entire course, but initially you do, because you can't afford to hire people to do these other tasks that you're doing. So you have to learn how to do them. And here's a couple of reasons why. One, first and foremost, as I just said, you really can't afford to hire somebody very talented to do what it is. You don't have the revenue. So you have to learn it. Okay. And if you hire a marketing firm or an agency, for example, they're going to take a good share of your profit, a profit that you can't afford to give away. And ultimately, you should have somebody in-house helping you do that. And so if that's the case, you want to start learning it right out of the gates. So the second, and that leads right into the second reason, you can't lead somebody to help you with your marketing if you don't know how to do it yourself. Like, you can't lead somebody to, help you generate interest if you're not sure how to do that, because they're going to come up with this fancy idea that they think is really good, and they probably really do believe that it's really good, but it's not. And how is it not? Because because you've tried it. And because you've tried it and you've gone through it, you can say, hey, look, I've tried that, and that really hasn't worked really well. Now that I say you can't tweak it, but the general rule is that if you sit in a meeting and somebody's talking about cost per client acquisition, if you don't know that, if you don't know what that is for your customer to get your customers, you're really putting yourself at risk. Because, for example, if today we decided to hire somebody out externally to generate interest for our companies, any of them, we would say, well, look, as long as you could, get us a customer for less than what we're paying right now, including your 10% ad fee, because normally they charge about 10% of your revenue. So, for example, if you spend $1,000 a month in advertising, they want $100. So, and a lot of them won't do it for less than $3,000. So their fee is $300 a month. But let's just say it's $1,000. Well, if you're getting customers for less than $1,100, which would be the ad plus their fee, I'm just saying in a pool, it could be 10 clients, whatever, then it doesn't make sense. But some ad agencies are more effective and they can get it for a lower price, even with their fee, then it kind of makes sense. But you would never even want them to do that until you know what your cost should be. And I see this all the time. Gym owners turning over their advertising and their marketing to third parties, and they don't even know what they're turning over. And that's really scary. So I'd really recommend that you learn it yourself. And even if you don't do it ultimately, that you learn it yourself, understand the matrix, understand your numbers, and then be able to outsource it. Not a bad idea once you know that. But I agree. prefer to run it in-house. Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. You can't, if you yourself are not well versed, how can you expect somebody to come in randomly off the street to meet your expectations or more? If you don't even know what you're looking for, how can you expect somebody else to do that? You might come across somebody who has some experience in the field, but every company is unique, is it not? You're going to have your own flair, your own twist, your own way of wanting to do things. So you got to be careful with what you're spending your money on. The margin for error, I would say, it's small. You want to reduce as much pain as possible. You don't want to, if you can avoid the pain, avoid it, within means. Sometimes you need to take leaps, but within means. I agree.
Yeah. I think I think in short that there's so many, people out there promoting advertising services, but let's imagine for a second, and some of them are just rubbish. I'm serious. They're just rubbish. And I hear these stories all the time where, successful gym owner, now I grew my successful business and now I'm going to help you market yours. Well, and I'm like, where's your business at? Where's the business at? What happened to it? What happened to it? And so, but they always have the successful story that they sold it and made, all this money, and it's really wild. But the bottom line is that let's just imagine that you run into one that's really good, because there's some good folks out there that can help you market and create. And that is the case. But let's just say that you get it scaled up and you grow it. Let's just say that pumping tons of interest into your facility and maybe even open up, multiple, and they've grown with you. Now you're paying them, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. And let's just say they're worth every penny. And now they're making $5,000 a month as an ad fee for managing your ads and running your ads. And something happens. And just so you know, things happen all the time. Most businesses go under. Like when I say most, 95%. They don't make it long term. So let's just imagine that your business does well and you do well, and that marketing person, that marketing agency doesn't, and they're gone. And they were controlling all of how. I've heard stories. I've witnessed stories firsthand where a third party was running the ads and then they disappeared, and they just disappeared. And next thing you know, the company doesn't have any leads coming in, they don't have any interest, and they don't know where to start. So they go searching for another marketing guru or ad agency to run their ads. And there's this big gap in time between, when the last person did it and the new person, and just, learn it yourself to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So, all right, Johnny, I'm going to, I think we've got time for another good one. If you want to fire off.
Yeah, sure. So this one here is from Gracie Lou from Calgary, Canada. Her question is, will I see more money training a specific type of client, i.e. young versus old? Very, very broad, big question. But
Gracie, right?
Gracie.
You said Calgary?
Calgary, Canada.
Okay, isn't Calgary all the way on the other side?
Do
you know?
I think it's right above Idaho and like Montana, around that area. So it's on the western side.
Yes, on the western side. Okay. Yeah, that I would love to go there one time. I saw some photos of Calgary. So
it's
Gracie,
beautiful.
that's a great question. If I understood it correctly, can I make more money training specific folks? No, I mean, not really. You really can't. Everyone says, oh, you just target the people that are more affluent. Oh, okay. So, maybe there's some neighborhoods and places where, of course, people have a bigger discretionary income. There's no question there. But if you're talking about old versus young, well, there's people that are old that are affluent and people that are old that are not. People that are young that are affluent and people that are young that are not. I think it's in my 22 years now in business, it's my thought that I think people do best and they can charge the most that deliver the most value for their customers. And also they focus on the tribe that fits them best. So for me, I've always tried to be a true professional, like just basically, always be in uniform, always shirt tucked in, always wearing a collar. And those are the folks that I attract. Those are just the folks. So basically what you put out there, if you've ever heard, is what you're going to get back. What you put in the universe, it's just really simple, is what you're going to get back. So if you're, promoting, I think that there's a lot of people that love hardcore gyms, hardcore, like slamming weights, yelling, screaming, music with F-bombs playing in the background. Some people love that. It's not my tribe. It's not my thing. I can't say that I would not enjoy a workout there. I probably would, myself. But when training people, I think people in general, like if you're training younger people, okay. And when I say younger, let's just imagine from 18 to, 30, something like that. Okay. So adults, if you speak their language and you connect with them, I think you could do really well and they'll pay you really well. I don't believe that, targeting younger versus older is where it's at. I think really, if you want to be happy and you want to make good money, don't focus on who to target based on what they'll be willing to pay. Look, and I'm an entrepreneur. I want to make money. I want to get paid, and I want to get paid at the highest level. But I've never done that. I never have. I've never focused on how can I, charge these people this specific demographic, make more money from them. I would say, here's my demographic. Here are the people I want to serve. How can I serve them at the highest and charge them the highest? I'm all about charging the highest that I can for my services, as long as the customer feels like the value is worth it, but not based on a demographic. Because what if you find that the demographic, let's just say, is, professionals, or let's just say it was seniors. Well, what if you don't enjoy training seniors for whatever reason? My personal opinion, some of the funnest sessions I've ever had in my life, some of the most enjoyable too, because of the stories that you get from seniors. But
they're great.
But some people don't enjoy that, and vice versa. What if you don't enjoy training younger people? You want to do it because they pay you more. So now you're training people that pay you more, but you're not really happy. You're not enjoying it. Don't get into this business. Anyone listening out there right now, please just take a second, listen to this. Do not get into the personal training business for income. There's a lot of other jobs that you can take that pay a lot more. I promise you. And I hate to discourage some of you folks out there, but the reality is You better get into this business because you love serving others. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean that you can't get paid well. Doesn't mean that you can't grow a business or have an enterprise that you grow.
Right.
But I have never met a single person that's successful in this business that started off saying, I just want to make a fortune. I just want to make money and come into this. Those are generally short-lived. They don't last. Come in here with the mindset, Gracie, and I hope I didn't burst your bubble.
Who are the most successful people in the business? People with most passion, would you say?
You know, when I was asked one time, and we had over 180 full-time personal trainers working for the company, I was asked who is the most successful, the top personal trainers. And we went through the company and identified who they were. And we selected 10 of the top out of 180. And they didn't even know that we were doing this internal study. And what we found is the trainers that were the most successful, ironically, also meaning, okay, successful first, let me define that. In body design, we had defined success based on client results. Right. Period. What trainers are getting the best results for their clients? We said that those are the ones that are the most successful. Ironically, the 10 that were actually getting, there was a couple, outsiders, outliers, but majority of the 10 that were getting the best results also had the highest revenue. They were making the most. So there was a direct connection between the trainers that literally got the best results with the trainers that earned the most. So then what we did is we went and looked at those trainers and we said, why are these trainers? What is it about them that is making them get really good results and high income? And a lot of people might be surprised on what we found. Some might not, but the answer is really simple. It wasn't the trainer that had the most education. It wasn't the trainer with the master's degree in exercise science or nutrition. It wasn't the trainer that had the most experience. It wasn't. Those trainers, they didn't have the most experience. They didn't have the master's degree in exercise science. The trainers that were the best were the trainers that literally had the most enthusiasm. Point blank. The number one ingredient amongst all those trainers. Now, I'm not going to say some of those trainers were really educated and some of those trainers were also very experienced, but the common, and there were some that had barely any education, barely a certification, and others that had no experience, like 3 months experience, that were passing trainers that have been doing this for a long time. Yeah. And when we went and looked at all 10 of them, and they were full-time employees, they had the highest level of enthusiasm. That's what we found. They literally were able to motivate others, inspired others. Other people wanted to work out with them. They held the trainers, their clients accountable. They got them to do more sets, more reps. They got them to show up for their workouts, not because, of any other reason than that the client wanted to be there and wanted to come in for the workout. They were enjoying it. And it's a byproduct. So if you focus on being the best, the byproduct is you'll earn more and you'll get better client results. Do not focus on the income. If you do that, you're making a mistake. Focus on being the best and focus on, serving your clients at the highest level. And the byproduct is that you're going to earn more income. Now, I always have to add a disclaimer because some people just like work hard and they work hard at the wrong thing. Of course, if you have a broken system and things aren't working, it's not going to work. But generally speaking, you're not going to be the best and have a bunch of clients if you have a broken system anyhow. But so, right. Does that make sense, Johnny? Any thoughts on that?
No, I think there you have it. It takes passion and the right enthusiasm, to get your clients the results they want and they need. And that leads ultimately to your success in the end. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, okay, guys, we are wrapping this up. This is always an enjoyment. I hope that there's some trainers out there that have been tuning in and are getting some value from some of the things that we share and can apply it to their own business. Johnny, as always, thank you so much for being here and being a part of it and filling in for Mr. Blake while he's doing his thing. And for everyone tuning in, we really appreciate these questions that you continue to send in and throw our way. And again, remember, every Wednesday, no matter what level that you're at, you can take something away, hopefully 2:00 Eastern time every Wednesday. That's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we're going to see you next week.
See you later, guys.
Ciao.
Ciao.